that I know, because I tend to go really fast. So I'm going to do my best not to.
Perfect. There we go.
All righty. So just quickly, a quick overview of what today's agenda will entail. We're going to spend some time today focusing on sharing the most up-to-date information at EEC, which will include some opportunities like free PPE, some dedicated COVID testing, and some data and information sharing on the stabilization grants. And then we're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about some changes that are coming soon to support programs. One of the most important parts of today's presentation is that we want to spend some time collecting questions from you, because we want to make sure that we're addressing some of those questions in when we're making decisions, when we're trying to figure out where we're going to go with things. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that all of our communications and technical assistance in the next coming months are tailored to respond to those questions and concerns. So we're going to have an interactive part to tonight's presentation. And so we're hoping that you will take the opportunity to answer those questions and be at the table and have your voices be heard. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to begin with our updates. For many of you, you may know, EEC has held some family forums in each part of the state, which started back in August. And we asked families basically what it is that they need from care. We know that the landscape has changed drastically and the needs have changed as well. And so we wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to let us know exactly what it is that they need from childcare. And bottom line, across the entire state, was affordability. That is the most pressing concern for families. And in our region, what we also heard was the need for more supports for children with special needs, for more infant and toddler spaces, and for help with transportation. And so, you know, we took the opportunity to listen to families, and this is the most pressing concerns that came out of it. Eli, next slide. Awesome. All right. And so as many of you know, because I know many of you have applied and have been able to access some of this grant money, we have the ARPA Stabilization Grants monies out. That is the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. We're actually really happy to say that we were one of the states that was able to get the money out to programs quickly. These are stabilization grants to support programs, funding to support operations for up to 6 months from July to December. These dollars are meant to help programs defer some of the costs for their programs. All licensed childcare programs are eligible. We got a lot of calls asking, is this just for providers who accept subsidized children? And the answer is no, this is for all programs. All programs were eligible. There were some specific criteria, but for most part, it was available to both subsidized programs and programs that serve both subsidized and private paying children. Funding is based on licensed capacity with adjustments based on equity goals. As I stated earlier, Massachusetts is one of just 14 states that was able to get the grants out before September. And we actually began getting them out in July. There's lots of resources to support a grant application. So for supports, you can go to the link that is on this slide. Eli is gonna plug it into the chat as well. And then just for your information, these will be available after the town halls on our engagement portal. So you can always go there to see copies of these slides. The stabilization grants have been reaching programs. In our region, we've seen 80% of family childcare and 55% of group and school age programs access the funding. Forgive me while my chat closes. As you can see down at the bottom, our region was at 80% with FCC and 55% with GSA. Some statewide trends are on the right side of the slide. We've had 5,052 programs submit applications for funding and that's representative of 72% of all eligible programs. And then we have 65% of applicants that are from subsidized programs. So, you know, our numbers are good, the data is good, the money is getting out to programs. You can go to the next slide, Eli, thank you. It's not too late to apply for the grants. The applications are still being accepted. And if you haven't opened yet, but you plan to open, you can actually apply in advance of the month that you're due to open. You just need to set a reopening date with your licensor. So make sure if you haven't opened yet and you're gonna open soon, that you connect with your licensor, because these grant monies, these can be available to you as well. If you have any questions about the grants, there is a special help desk where you can get the most informed answers to your questions. And you can see that number here on this slide. And there's also an email address. And so for any questions regarding the grant process, that is the contact information, telephone number and email. Next slide. Thank you. Some other supports that we currently have underway to programs, as many of you already know, we continue to provide PPE ordering with deliveries right to your door, and you can do that through your LEAD portal. There's also pool testing happening in some programs. We still have the rapid response COVID testing sites statewide for childcare staff and participating families. So those are still out there. They're still providing services. And to support families and programs participating in the subsidy system, the modifications remain in place through December, which include no limits on absences, extended job search timeframes, and waived parent fees, among others. And as many of you know, one that is not here is we continue to process COVID-related closures. So that's another service that we still are providing. Next slide, Eli, please. All right. So one of the things that EEC has undertaken is really looking at the way providers become certified for group and school age programs, and then also at the assistant application process for family childcare. And so right now, you all know what the current state of that is. FCC assistants are subject to similar standards and processes as those required for an FCC educator when they're applying to become licensed. The EEC validation for the registered assistant application unnecessarily lengthens the approval timelines, potentially delaying operations for an FCC educator. The limited ability to transfer qualifications across settings is another challenge, and no public-facing directory of certified assistants for FCC educators to consult for substitute care. So these are just some of the, I'm going to say, voids that we've identified in the current process, or some of the barriers that we've identified in the current process. And so many will see that we have been working as an agency, really the commissioner and everyone up there, while we help them inform all these decisions, but they've really been looking at this process, and EEC understands that it may have been difficult for FCC educators who have needed substitute care or wanted to hire an assistant to get them in. And so as we think about supporting FCC educators, there are upcoming changes we hope to address some of these concerns. And so these are as follows. For regular assistants who function as a substitute or on a regular basis with CPR and first aid, we hoping to have a shorter and more simple approach to hiring through the BRC suitability, still required. So it's still required, but we're hoping to make it better. EEC educator will validate the qualifications for and hire their own assistants and maintain those records on file, so that, if we asked you when we went out to a visit to see it, you would just pull the file and show us that the individual has met the qualifications required to be a regular assistant. And then for certified assistants who can substitute on a regular basis or in place of an FCC educator, we hope to streamline the internal EEC protocols to review and validate qualifications. Again, BRC suitability is still required. Those are not going away. That's a real important part of keeping children safe. And so that process will remain in place. Published directory of those willing to be listed as available for substitute care. Our new deputy commissioner is hearing it, that there needs to be some type of mechanism somewhere where a provider can go and access certified assistants or regular assistants to help provide substitute care when their regular assistant is unable to do so. And so those are some of the things that we're looking to tackle in this procedural changes conversation. Thanks, Eli. So as we look ahead, what does the next year look like for workforce supports? EEC is working on many other ways to support early education and care educators. EEC's Professional Pathways is a new initiative launching with neighborhood villages. After November 1st, if a program or an educator goes to this website, they can get help finding coursework they need to start or advance in an early education career. So they'll be able to go there and see what courses are being offered. And this will all be available after November 1st. Please stay tuned as the Professional Pathways website is launched and the work begins. So if you were to go there now, just keep in mind that they're still building that site. And so while there's some information, it is not yet completed. Thanks, Eli. And Eli is putting in the chat some links and some telephone numbers. All right, so soon, something else that we've been working on, been very, very busy. EEC will launch a professional registry for educators. This will be a one-stop shop for training documentation, background record check processes, and all of the records related to employment in an EEC license program can be stored there. It'll be like a hub for educators and link with the programs that employ them. So if you employ someone, you'll be able to link that individual's profile to your program. The registry can follow an educator throughout their career from role to role, and it should reduce delays in recruitment and hiring as well. For family childcare, specific to family childcare, processes will be adapted for the specific needs of educators. EEC held some engagement sessions with much more information about the Professional Qualifications Registry. And for more information, you can visit our engagement portal to view the recordings of those workforce effort sessions that have happened. Thank you, Eli. Eli continues to plug in those links in the chat. And for those of you who do not get to write it down, please remember these will be available on the engagement portal after the town halls. Next page. All right, so we invite you to stay connected. We know that there's a lot of avenues now for you to be informed on what is going on here with EEC. Not only are we holding town halls, but the commissioner is really good about holding public forums and making sure to do extensive updates during the board meeting. There was a board meeting yesterday, and the next upcoming board meetings are November 9th and December 14th. The board dates, materials, and broadcasts can be found online. And that link is on the left side of this PowerPoint slide that I'm talking about right now. Or you can use Google search terms such as Massachusetts Board of Early Education and Care, fiscal year 2022. So, you know, take advantage of the opportunities that are being offered to be at the table and help inform the decisions, the things that are currently underway here. Don't stop sharing your thoughts. It's really important. We want to hear your voice. We're so grateful for everything that you share, for everything that you do. And it has been really helpful to all of the teams who have worked on these initiatives, as you've heard about tonight. There are so many ways to learn more and more and share more. So please make sure that you are taking advantage, as I stated. Attend the board meetings and provide public comment when you have something important that you want to share. And please register for engagement and provide survey and live feedback on these topics and more. Take advantage of the opportunity that you're being granted to help inform these initiatives. Thank you, Eli. All right, and so as I mentioned earlier, we have an interactive part of tonight's presentation. We are going to queue in some questions. With the upcoming changes, we know that there's going to be lots of questions that you may have. And we imagine that some of these questions are already on your mind. And so we wanted to give you an opportunity to share those. We want to use this session tonight to collect your questions. This will help us make sure communications and technical assistance are tailored, as I said earlier, to your concerns and your questions. This isn't going to be your last chance, so don't worry. You can submit your questions here. And if you forget something at the end of tonight's presentation, many of you, if not all of you, have my email address. Please feel free to send that along. And so having said all of that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Eli, and she's going to facilitate the interactive part of tonight's presentation. Eli, take it away.
Maria, you're amazing. Thank you. That was such a great download of information. And as Maria shared, now we want to hear from you what questions you're still sort of wrestling with around these subjects. So in order to participate in providing your thoughts and questions, you will have to plug into a kind of survey software called Poll Everywhere. And there are two ways to be connected. The first is to use a mobile phone with texting and to text to code 22333. And the sort of words that you will text to that number are early education, all one word. And the second way is to go to this link. I've just put it in the chat, or you can copy it from your screen, which is pollev.com/early education. And so using one of those methods, we will give you just a moment to get connected so that we can hear your thoughts and questions about some of the things that Maria has walked through tonight. So when you get connected, you will see that there is a question already appearing if you're online, or if you're not online. We will get to that question in just one moment. And just to share a little bit more about how we're going to ask our questions tonight, Maria has shared 3 sort of areas of upcoming changes or development at EEC. The first is around educator qualifications, thinking about policy changes and operational changes that will make it easier to hire, recruit and hire new staff members, qualify them to work in programs. For FCC educators, for you to have access to a directory of those who have publicly agreed to become substitutes, make it a little bit easier to hire assistants. And so some of those changes around educator qualifications, that will be the first question. The next one, or the next area, is around professional pathways and some of the work that Neighborhood Villages is supporting to access higher education, coursework, etc. And then the third area is the launch of the professional registry, the one-stop shop for everything related to working in an EEC licensed program as an educator, and to pursuing different forms of higher education or credentialing, perhaps taking coursework, professional development, having that one-stop shop. So those are the 3 topics. And for each one, we hope to hear from you. What questions do we need to answer? Maria shared earlier that the purpose tonight is to actually hear what questions still need to be solved, so that as the teams design communications and training and technical assistance, they're able to respond directly to the questions that you have proposed or submitted. So that's what we hope to do. And hopefully you have all gotten connected. If you haven't, just send me a chat and let me know if you're having trouble, so that I can make sure that we get you connected. And in the meantime, I will go ahead and share the screen. The benefit of Poll Everywhere is that everyone can see the responses as they come in. So it's a really good kind of transparent way to provide feedback, but also allow multiple people to share their thoughts at the same time. So we'll move to that screen now. And Maria, I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add in as we start to share the results, maybe see what we think as they come in.
Will there be a set of standards to providers to use to make sure they are hiring qualified individuals? The standards are not going to change drastically. I mean, I'm gonna ask Diana, because we haven't really gone much in detail with this one just yet.
Yeah, for grouping school age, there's going to be a lot more flexibility, if there is anyone on this call for that, around educator qualifications. And for this particular format around family childcare, we're just making it an easier process to get a regular assistant. I mean, really getting a regular assistant approved, and that they don't need to submit everything to the office at the time of application, so that we can issue their letter of approval a lot quicker. With the certified assistant, we're looking at streamlining that a little bit more and creating that public directory.
And the great thing is that we are releasing a lot of written guidance, and I'm telling you, we've gotten really good at getting written guidance out there. And so, you know, it will come and it will hopefully be easy to understand. And if not, we can help you interpret it to make sure that you have a clear understanding. And we'll be here to support you and provide you with the technical assistance that I hope you're already used to getting from us here in Region 3.
Well said, Maria.
Thank you. Will neighborhood villages replace Strong Start? No. So neighborhood villages, and again, I'm gonna say what I say and then Diana can fill my voids. Neighborhood villages they're preparing a clearer pathway, a way for educators to be able to access courses and anything that they need in order to be able to fill the role of an educator. And so for group and school age, you know, that's going to be the place where perhaps directors will refer teachers to get whatever trainings or courses they may need in order to, you know, get to the next level. For family child care, you know, that will be the same. There are training requirements. And so I believe neighborhood villages will work towards offering those courses.
Yes.
Anything else, Diana?
No, I think you covered it, Maria.
So
Strong Start. Go ahead.
Yeah. Alive and well. Strong Start is alive and well.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Yes, it is.
If anything, it's getting better. They're adding more trainings. I'm actually taking one now. So
awesome.
If you haven't been there, I'm going to do a Strong Start plug. Make sure you go there. There's some great trainings available.
Absolutely. When you're streamlining for FCC assistants, what about volunteers and internships? At this point, we looked at streamlining the FCC assistant process, which was the biggest demand at this point. We also have regs and policies around volunteers and internships for both FCC and GSA. But we can certainly take a look at that. And, you know, if you have any feedback about what you'd like to see streamlined in that respect with volunteers and internship, please put your feedback on here, because what we can do is we are going to go back and look at all these comments and questions, and we can utilize those as we move forward to prepare documents for release to the provider community.
Perfect. Let's look, we had one question around neighborhood villages already, but let's just see, are there other questions that you all have about the professional pathways or the access to higher education? If any of you have heard about career pathways, some of the work of the community colleges that is funded by EEC, or just thinking about accessing your own sort of career pathway, any training or education that might be interesting or relevant or important to you. As neighborhood villages begins to become that kind of hub for all of that, are there questions that you think you might have that you want to be answered? We'll give it just a moment.
There was a great flag this morning while those start to come in. There was a great flag this morning. Somebody asked in the group this morning, you know, will there be some opportunities for me to access master level courses? Because I believe this individual has a bachelor's. And so that was a great flag. And this is the time for you to flag those things so that as we're looking at these, it's at the forefront. So I just wanted to share that came out this morning.
No, that's a good point, Maria. I've also seen that same feedback on other town halls that I've been on.
Great.
So yes, question about whether neighborhood villages will be the hub for the entire state to connect individuals with courses in their region or online. It may not be the only one, but I think we've heard that there's a need for more of that navigation support. And so neighborhood villages will statewide be available for that type of connection.
How do all the systems work together?
Mm,
I don't quite understand that.
that's a big question, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe registry, maybe that might be about like the registry and the learning management and background record checks.
Mhm.
Although if we're misunderstanding your question, please clarify. We are happy to adjust, but that may be what that's asking about.
I'd hate to go off on a tangent, not fully understanding the question. So hopefully they'll provide some more context to that. What if you're going to a community college or other university? Again, I'm not quite sure what exactly that, what exactly you're asking. So if you could provide some clarification on that, that would be great. I don't have all the answers, but we can certainly try to find them. And if we don't, that's okay. At least you're flagging it. And it's something that we can think about when we are working with neighborhood villages and their offerings.
I do think if this is about the neighborhood villages work, what they're building is to connect for that starting point. So if someone is already enrolled in coursework or a pathway at a community college or university, they might not be as interesting or as relevant for what that person might need.
Will you be required to go to neighborhood villages? Neighborhood villages is
No.
not a,
Yeah.
Yeah. So am I right in saying that there will be colleges, universities that will partner with neighborhood villages in their offerings? Is that correct?
So neighborhood villages will be building connections with all of the available coursework and programs, but that does not mean that someone can't go directly to a provider or a higher ed institution, a community college, and enroll directly. So no, there is no requirement to work through the neighborhood villages system.
Thank you.
Anything else? Well, we can keep the questions coming. Our next one is about the registry and wondering, as you think about kind of a one-stop shop where a lot of the records related to your work as an FCC educator, if you employ an assistant, then related to that assistant's records, what questions do you have that would need to be answered? We may be in good shape on this one. Although, oh, here we've got a response coming in. Oh, yes, a PQ registry. How is this different?
So we'll retire that one, maybe, I'm not sure. All of that is still being ironed out. And so, I mean, that's all I have. I don't know if Diana, Eli have anything more to offer.
Yeah, I think that, as we work through this in stages and steps, we'll be doing more communication. If you pay attention to the engagement portal on our website, there will be additional trainings that will address some of these questions that you're having now. Recently, there's been some UAT testing by EEC staff, which what that means is that they've been in the system themselves trying to use it, identify anything that's a barrier or anything that they find that may be an issue, like a tweak within the system that would make it easy for individuals to go on. So we're really at the preliminary stages. A lot of work has been done to set the framework. However, I'm not sure how it is all going to interconnect, but there will be some connectivity, and stay tuned.
What we do know is what I presented in the slide earlier, that it will be a one-stop shop for training, documentation, background record check processes, and all of the records related to employment in an EEC license program. So everything will live in that registry.
Yes.
Right.
So it's more connected
Mm-hmm.
than the other.
Will the lead portal be a separate system?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
The lead portal will continue as is, I think, and it will connect to the registry.
Right. You'll be
Right.
able to access it through the registry. Yep.
Right.
I mean, through lead, the registry through lead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. If you have more thoughts on any of these, please continue to write them in. we'll move to the next question, but we would still love to hear your thoughts or questions on the other topics. So I think we would love to hear more about what is helpful in terms of how information is communicated. Perhaps when it's a live session, the times of day, or kind of timeframes in which those are helpful. We've heard a lot about different approaches like email and videos and social media, etc. And so what is going to be, just give us any advice you have that will help us know the best ways to put information out. Email and then live sessions. Great. So a live session to explain specifics. Sounds like it's really helpful. And we'd love to hear about days of the week, times of day, things that would be most convenient to your schedule, knowing that the childcare day is a long day.
Always, because some educators are not tech savvy. Yeah, we get that. We can appreciate that.
Anything else? Okay. So our last question, we want to hear what you think in general, whether it's excitement or concern, or just a reaction or a request, or a question about something that's not even about workforce or educator support, as we've talked about today. Just give us anything that's still on your mind. We would love to hear. So
I don't even know how to respond to that.
No, that's so difficult. The idea that technology, that the requirement of participating in certain technology is pushing educators out who have the most experience. It's really difficult, but important, I think, right, Maria, as we think about.
Yeah, I do know that we here at the region, we work with educators, we work with educators' children, we work with home visitors to the educator. I am confident in saying that we go above and beyond. We, before COVID, had providers coming in here and helping them as much as we can. Obviously, with COVID, it's posing a few more challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, the concern is real, and when we hear you. Older educators, yeah, we know. The department has done a great job of revamping areas of concern and modernizing the entire system, most importantly, listening. Thank you. We certainly are trying.
Yeah.
We appreciate you saying so. Thank you.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Oh.
Yep. This is, that's a good question. What can the EC do to support FCC whose programs are shut down because of a 51A? If you don't know, there is a subsidy policy that is out. I would love to have a conversation with you because I need to know what your program specifics are. Please feel free to call me. You have my emails. You have my cell phone number, you have my office number, you have every way of finding me. Please reach out to me. I'm not quite sure who, and you don't have to say who put the question out, but I'd love to have a conversation with you and share with you some of the things that Commissioner has put in place to support programs who have a 51A.
Great.
I was
Thank
just
you.
add on a little bit to that, Maria, is that is exactly what you said about the subsidy manual and policy that's available. And every program is different. There are independent nuances. What I
Yes.
want to just stress is we understand the difficulty that causes, the disruption to families, the disruption to educators. And when this does happen, we try to expedite getting to some decision-making and investigations as quickly as possible because we know it is disruptive. So.
Again, that the most recent comment, there's an FCC program. Again, as Diana said, there are nuances, there are specific things related to the case that can make or break which way we go on this. And so it's really important if you want to have that conversation with me where we can have a one-on-one, please reach out to me tomorrow. I'm here all day tomorrow. Let's talk.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One more.
Okay. So I will actually leave the question open so we can continue to receive responses. And I do have some private chat asking about, I think about the registry and the other systems, whether they would be merged. This is probably clarifying on the other response around like how these systems work together. And I think the technical approach is being figured out, but they would be working together in a way that this is, forgive me if I'm misframing it all, but the idea is that there is one system that requires logging in and handling everything related to educator records. Yes, rather than multiple. So, yeah. Okay, well, Maria, I will pass back to you for the closing.
I'm going to bring us home. All right. Thank you so much for, spending this time with us. Thank you so much for asking the questions and allowing us to respond. Again, I'm here tomorrow for anybody who wants to reach out to me. If you have any questions that you were unable to ask today, because you just couldn't do the polls, you have email, please send emails. No question is a silly one. Ask. If we have an answer, we'll give it to you. If it's still being figured out, I will tell you we're still figuring it out. Just know that we are here to continue to support you, whether you are an FCC system, because I see some of the system folks on, or an FCC provider. Please know that we continue to be here. We are maneuvering all of this along with you. Some of the challenges that you're facing, we're facing them as well. The only difference is we're trying to work through those challenges so that we can support you when it's time to get them out there to you. So just know that we're all in this together. I say that all of the time. When in doubt, reach out. I say that all of the time as well. And just know that we're here to support you along the way. Again, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And it's until the next one. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Friends.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Eli. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.